I'm sure that you can relate to feeling midway through an academic year of being stuck in a slump, lacking motivation, and constantly procrastinating. Elle Woods embodies discipline, resilience, and confidence. She proves everybody wrong by graduating first of her class and achieving many milestones along the way, from getting that internship to getting such a high score on LMAT. I recently did a video on how I studied like Elle Woods for a year, implementing her study methods and getting a first overall in my first year. In this video, I'm going to go into more detail for you to share with you how to embody her discipline to study, while also building and strengthening your resilience and confidence to tackle any challenges you may face. In the movie Legally Blonde, I think that the most memorable scene is Elle Woods studying every possible moment of the day, really showing her discipline to prove others wrong. And for you to enter your academic era in 2026, the most important part of the puzzle is to build your discipline when studying, or even rebuild it if you've fallen out of a routine. So to build your discipline, don't expect to go from studying 1 to 2 hours a day to suddenly forcing yourself to sit down for 10 hours. In fact, I would even say don't set a target of a set amount of hours to study at all, because that means that you'll just end up focusing on how long you're sat at your desk for, rather than the quality of your work. So to build your study discipline, think of Elle Woods. Think of how she studies. She does a mix of different study techniques, from studying alone in a room to on her treadmill or while working out, but she also studies in groups at the library. For you, you can vary your study methods, which will help you to become more disciplined when studying. Changing your environment often means that you're keeping your brain engaged so that you can have longer and more effective study sessions. So as an exercise for this week for you to break out of that academic slump you've been in and to build your discipline, I want you to try 2 to 3 different study methods, whether that's making flashcards on paper or using online flashcards, using mind maps, or figuring out a more effective way of note-taking, like condensing your notes into a 1-page outline, even just speaking out loud to yourself in your room, to even trying past exam papers and making essay plans, or even writing out a full essay. Of course, this depends on what course you do or what you're studying at the moment, but I want you to try a variety of different study methods if you haven't already, and figure out what works for you. I found that sometimes if you're in a study slump, particularly if you're studying your A-levels at the moment or doing a degree or a master's, one of the factors into that slump may be that you're using outdated study methods. And what I mean by this is what you use for your GCSEs or your A-levels might not work for what you're studying at the moment. Or even doing different modules at university means that you need to use different study methods. Even for me, when I was studying law, I found that certain topics that were more black letter law required using flashcards and mind maps so that I could memorise different sections of the legislation I needed when they applied. Whereas for other more theoretical areas of law, like public law, using a mind map to memorise information wasn't that useful. So I found that making outlines and notes using my readings was more helpful. So use this week to find different study methods that work for you. Flashcards and mind maps are great for active recall, which helps you to memorise information, and then using exam papers helps you know how to actually apply that information. Now, I also feel like the start of 2026, there is a huge push on hustle culture, but to enter your Elle Woods academic era, you need to be kind to yourself, acknowledge your hard work and your discipline to get to the stage you're at the moment. Whether that's reflecting on all your hard work you did to get into university in the first place, or also all the hard work you put in last semester to pass your exams and to continue your studies. So take a moment to actually reflect on your progress so far. That will help you break out of your slump rather than focusing on the exams you have coming up in the summer, but to reflect on your progress. Whilst you're being kind to yourself to build your academic discipline, you also need to hold yourself accountable whilst you're reflecting. For example, you could recognise whether you're procrastinating too much during your study sessions, perhaps at the library, by going on your phone and doom scrolling when you should be studying. Or, like I mentioned earlier, if you're using study techniques that just aren't working for you, but you do them because you just enjoy doing them, like reading notes. Of course, everyone loves just reading notes as a way to study because it's easy. In fact, it's probably one of the least effective study methods, just reading notes, as you're just passively reading, you're not engaging in any active recall, and it's very easy to just read it and instantly forget. So try and use this time at the moment to be reflective, by acknowledging your hard work, but also recognising what changes need to be made. So by changing and altering your study environments and the methods you use, you'll find that studying becomes an effective way of improving and strengthening your academic performance, rather than just something you do when you feel motivated, which is something I discussed in a recent video on the difference between discipline and motivation. Studying should be something you do consistently because you promise yourself that you would do it. Like if you enrolled in doing A-levels or a degree, you should study consistently, rather than when you feel like you have a sudden burst of motivation. Which leads me to the next section, resilience. The key to entering into your academic era in 2026 is building your resilience. Don't let one bad grade or one rejection stop you from continuing to work hard or throw you off your path. In Legally Blonde, Elle Woods is laughed at by her peers at the start of the movie when she's answering questions in a class, but we see that she uses that as fuel to work hard and prove that she deserves to be there just as much as everybody else. So if you're feeling as though you're in a slump because of lower grades you've received or rejections from internships, I know it's easier said than done, but try to push through that and turn it into proactivity. If you did receive a lower grade or failed a module, seek academic advice. You could go to your personal tutor or a lecturer that you trust and have a connection with, more broadly your university skills hub, or even friends and people on your course. Don't be afraid to reach out and seek advice. There are so many people that are here to help you, and you'll feel so proud of yourself when you push through and recognise what's setting you back or what your academic weaknesses are, and you can work on them, and you'll only see improvements from there. Likewise, don't put yourself in a box and limit your achievements because of past performance. Instead, try to put a plan into place to improve your performance. And this relates to the final step, which is confidence. Part of you entering your academic era in 2026 relies so heavily on your confidence to go out and seek opportunities. This requires having the confidence to push yourself, even when you think you might not be the most experienced for the role or have the highest possible grades. So an example of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone could be going for a society role like treasurer or president, vice president. It could also be trying to get one of your essays published in a university journal, or even just applying for your dream internship. And if you ever feel like you're lacking confidence, just think, what would Elle Woods do? She went for that intern position and she got it. You might be wondering why seeking opportunities will help you enter your academic era if you're just studying hard trying to get grades. But the reality is that work experience is so important to build your CV and your wider skill set. Building this also helps you to see your academic performance in practice. Rather than simply getting high grades, you're also seeing your work being published or getting opportunities to see what your degree looks like in industry. So entering your Elle Woods academic era is not just about studying every hour of the day for months straight. It requires a mindset shift, being disciplined to study consistently and effectively, with the resilience to push through any adversities you might face, and a confidence to pursue any academic and professional work opportunities. Of the three values, comment down below which one you're going to focus on in 2026. I hope you found this video inspirational. Bye.